This area of Washington, D.C. is usually full of veterans, the World War II monument. But today, hundreds of bikers who came here from across the country to honor fallen officers, including Jason Moser.
Okay, so all right, so we're taking that trail.
Yeah.
To the Pentagon.
We found Brian Jessica of Minnesota standing beneath the stone North Dakota pillar at the World War II monument. He had carried a flag with Jason Moser's picture on it for hundreds of miles. Lieutenant Todd Osmondson of the Fargo Police Department was there to greet him.
Yeah, thank you for riding for Jason. Oh, greatly appreciated.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my honor, and I'm glad that I was able to do it, being a survivor myself and stuff. It's near and dear to me to be able to do this and to do it for, our neighbors to the west. Being North Dakota and I'm from Minnesota, so it meant a lot to me to be able to do it. I'd do it all over again. It's, when those times got tough to get through, you just look down and see why you're doing it, and these are what we do it for.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
The entire route, Jessica carried a picture of his father, a fallen police officer from Minnesota, and Jason Moser, the fallen Fargo cop, being honored this weekend.
Say, Brian, I want to give you a Jason Moser coin.
Oh, I appreciate that.
From the Fargo Police, from the Moser family, from Rachel, from the FOP and the Fargo Police Department. We thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it. This is near and dear to me. I will cherish this forever.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
As Jessica recovered from 1,300 miles of riding, Rachel Moser and her family arrived in Washington and stepped up to meet the cyclist.
Brian,
Good to meet you in person, yeah.
Rachel, nice to meet you.
I'm so sorry for everything.
Thank you.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, he contacted me a few months ago and told me that he was doing this and said he was a survivor too, and that was what made it so meaningful and Fargo's close. He's also a member of a motorcycle organization for law enforcement, and Jason was a gunslinger, and so I think he felt that connection a little bit. So I think it was a little closer for him to do the riding than just somebody else.
Every time I come to DC for Police Week, it makes me cry, because I remember having to be here myself, why I had to be here. And all the people out there, they're supporting us and they're supporting the survivors, which is the most important thing.
The two talked about loss and the importance of grieving and moving forward.
I mean, anything that we can do now or at any time, you gotta let us know.
Strangers No More, brought together by service, tragedy, and now remembrance.
Good to meet you.
You too.
Take care of everything, okay?
Thank you so much.
And again, seriously, anything you need,
Sounds good.
anything you guys need, just holler, and what we do, we can take care of it. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With photographer Devin Krinke in Washington, Kevin Wallivan, WDY 6 News. It was just a few years ago that Jason Moser, then a new Fargo police officer, would come to Washington, D.C., and along with his wife, visit the law enforcement memorial here. Today, his friends gathered to remember him here. It would be one of the longest walks of the day. Drew Schwann of Fargo, looking for the name of his best friend, just etched in stone, pausing briefly as names of others were read.
Robert DeLoy, Berlin, New Hampshire Police Department, end of watch, 23 April 1970.
Along with his wife Jamie, Drew walked by the 20,000 names. Then, the picture, the name, Jason Moser. The Fargo couple grieved quietly, processing what lay before them, photos and the name, which they etched on slips of paper.
Hard to believe it's been over a year already. Definitely surreal seeing it in person.
The couple placed special gifts, pictures of their family.
Our daughter, Brielle, who's almost 7, loved Jason, and he was so good with kids and so good with our daughter. He took her under his wing like his own. I mean, he was just great with kids, great with our kid.
And of course, one of Jason's favorites, a small bottle of good memories.
That was his favorite. That was his thing. And we do, on his birthday, for everything, we got to do a shot of Fireball, so we found it more fitting than bringing flowers or anything like that.
Drew, who spoke at Jason's funeral, still feels the sting.
It's very humbling and overwhelming. I'm definitely glad we were able to make it now, and it won't be the last time.
It was just years ago that Jason came here to etch the name of Fargo's first fallen officer.
I keep keep thinking back to when Jason and Rachel came here the last time. And you never expect that you'll be back for him.
With photographer Devin Krinke in Washington, Kevin Wallivan, WDAY 6 News. Over the years, the National Mall here in Washington, D.C. has been home to remarkable marches and protests. But tonight, a moving tribute to fallen officers.
Honor guard, halt, left, peace.
Flanked by law enforcement, mothers, fathers, wives, and children were escorted to the Candlelight Vigil. All had lost a loved one this year. In some cases, law enforcement pushed strollers of surviving children. The sound of bagpipes echoed across the National Mall as tens of thousands descended on the Candlelight Vigil, where those who mourned and remembered heard words of comfort.
For some of you, that loss occurred last year. The wounds are still fresh in your hearts and lives. For others, it was many years ago. But no matter how long, or no matter the passage of time, we want you to know that your loved ones will always be honored and remembered, and so will you.
At this time, I would like to invite Attorney General Sessions to begin this evening's roll call of honor.
From the state of Alabama, Luther Thomas Bozeman.
One by one, state by state.
From the state of Minnesota.
From the state of Kentucky.
From the state of Alaska.
The names of those officers lost this year were read.
Rebecca A. Buck.
Jose Ismael Chavez.
Kevin Dwayne Miller.
Including North Dakota, one name.
From the state of North Dakota, Jason David Moser.
In one of the most impressive displays of support, Fargo police officers stood up in uniform to lift up candles in remembrance of Jason Moser, one of their own.
This whole coming here to D.C. to really kind of a hallowed place where officers who lost their lives are being recognized for, like they said, being common men and women that did uncommon things because they had sworn to do that. I mean, that's amazing to see them honored in that way. So it's a very special night.
Quite a sight. The great monuments of our nation's capital, tonight surrounded by light of those we lost.
Behind every name read here tonight, and on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, are stories and memories that burn brightly, tonight and always. Stories that inspire us, and memories that cannot be extinguished.
With photographer Devin Krinke in Washington, Kevin Wallivan, WDAY 6 News. Our country's leaders told those grieving and hurting that law enforcement does not take the term respect lightly. This as 144 fallen officers from this past year were remembered.
Present arms.
Surviving spouses and their children, including Rachel Moser, slowly made their way to the U.S. Capitol lawn, the flag at half-staff. Thousands gathered to hear some words of comfort.
We mourn with those who mourn. We grieve with those who grieve. But we do not grieve like the rest who have no hope, because heroes give us hope.
Vice President Pence told mourners that sacrifice brought them all here, and he promised that those who protect and serve our country support from the Trump administration. The Vice President's boss?
Please help me welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
President Donald Trump walked up to a standing ovation from a law enforcement-friendly crowd. President Trump said Americans owe a great debt to those fallen police officers.
Every drop of blood spilled from our heroes in blue is a wound inflicted upon the whole country. and every heartache known by your families in law enforcement is a sorrow shared by the entire family of the American nation.
And Mr. Trump said he hopes this service today helps survivors as they move forward.
May this ceremony bring new hope to those in search of healing, harmony, and peace. May Americans learn from the example of the heroes we have lost and always remember to trust each other, work with each other, and love each other.
Jason D. Moser.
As Jason Moser's name was read, his family walked up and placed a flower as part of a wreath, part of this police officer's forever remembrance.
You know, a lot of emotions, a lot of people here in the same shoes we are, so it's nice to have, you know, people that are going through the same thing and the same company. And
very emotional. That many officers that have fallen, it's just unreal.
With photographer Devin Krinke in Washington, Kevin Walleman, WDAY 6 News.